digital dementia. Digital dementia. And this is a real medical term right now. This is the idea that we're outsourcing our brains to our smart devices. We're so reliant on our smartphones that our smartphones are making us stupid. Does that make sense?
It's a really, really bad state of affairs. And we compound the problem, right? We curate our lives around this perceived sense of perfection because we get rewarded in these short-term signals, hearts, likes, thumbs up, and we conflate that with value and we conflate it with truth. And instead what it really is fake, brittle popularity. That's short-term and that leaves you even more, and admit it, vacant and empty before you did it. Because then it forces you into this vicious cycle where you're like, what's the next thing I need to do now? Because I need it back.
Parents have to intervene. We have to stop giving our kids free access to social media and phones at young ages. They are not ready for it. Their minds cannot cope with the dopamine. Balance is fine. You can give a kid a phone, but they can't use it in their bedroom. They can't have it at the dinner table. They can't take it to school. They can only have it up to a certain hour and you take it away. They're children. You can take the phone away. We've got to intervene as parents. But as companies, we now have to deal with the influx of kids that are coming into our companies with addiction. Watch, I see it all the time. Walk through any office. You'll see the older employees have their phones on the sides of their computers as they're working. You'll see the youngest employees have their phones face up in front of their keyboards between their arms as they're working. And this is how they work.
It's convenient. I don't want to memorize 500 phone numbers, right? Nobody wants to do that. But we've lost the ability to memorize one. Like if I give you a 7-digit number now, how difficult? Would it be you find that kind of difficult to memorize, like a phone number that you used to do years ago? Yes or yes? Because if I take my arm and I put it into a sling for 6 months, does it stay the same? Would it even grow stronger? It would what? It would atrophy and grow weaker. Same thing with your mental muscles. If you're relying on your phone to keep your schedules, your to-dos, do simple. I went out to dinner with 10 people recently. There was 10 of us. And 3 people at the end pulled out their phones to divide the bill by 10.
Your behaviors, you don't realize it, but you are being programmed. It was unintentional. But now you got to decide how much you're willing to give up, how much of your intellectual independence.
Turn it off. That's what I would say. It's hard for young people now because they're hooked. They're addicted. If you don't think you're addicted, and I'm talking about anyone, from the highest to the lowest, if you don't think you're addicted, then see if you can turn it off for a week. It got quiet in here, didn't it? Didn't it get real quiet? It's a tool, so we should use it. God has blessed us with free will. Now it's free will magnified, free will on steroids. You're free to go in any direction you want. It will allow you, and it's not the enemy. It's just a reflection of our own free will. You know? And we all want to be liked. But now we want to be liked by 16 million. And will now some of us do anything to be liked. We used to do anything to be liked, but it was by the person in front of you. Now it's to be liked by 16 million people that you don't know. We have to ask ourselves, what is the long-term, if not the short-term effect of too much information?
I just continue to wonder what that world will look like over the next 30 years
it's
and whether
be
we can...
painful.
What's painful? What does that mean?
Well, you will see that some people, because the knowledge is not enough, the wisdom is not enough. So the new wave coming, the job is been taken away. Some people who catch up the wave will be rich, will be more successful. Some people will be more painful. The government, if the world is going to be data, the people will have more data than the bosses.
You have a lot of data at Alibaba, don't you?
Yeah, we do.
And how are you focused on creating and obtaining more of it?
I think it's just the beginning of the data period. We think data is going to be so important to human life in the future. Compared to tomorrow, our data is nothing.
People do love technology, but it is a huge distraction. It's a huge distraction. It's so addictive. There is a perception with technology that it can solve all problems. You present it with the data, it will process the data and find some magical solution. Any problem in the world. So we keep giving the technology more of our time, more of ourselves, more of our attention, and of course, more of our data, thinking it can solve all our problems, all our business problems, all our personal problems, all our social problems. So it's becoming like a god that we worship. So what's happening? What is that addiction? Well, Sherry Turkle from MIT has written a book called Alone Together, why we like to spend more time with technology and less with one another. So we're being attracted, if you like, by the stimulus of the technology. So the technology is stimulating us more personally, mentally, emotionally, than being with another human. So that in itself is a worry.
Almost all of you have a phone, and almost all of them are smartphones. iGen is the first generation to spend their entire adolescence with smartphones, and that has had ripple effects across many areas of their lives. And that is also the topic of my book called iGen. So I've been doing studies on generational differences for about 25 years. So I got used to changes that would grow slowly and steadily over time. But then around 2010 or 2011, I started to see some changes that were much more sudden. I had really never seen anything like it. So for example, teens became less likely to go out without their parents as often. They were getting together with their friends less often. More started to say that they felt left out or that they felt lonely. More started to say they felt like they couldn't do anything right, that their life wasn't useful, that they didn't enjoy life. A national screening study found a 50% increase in major depressive disorder between 2011 and 2015 among teens. Major depressive disorder with severe impairment shows a similar pattern. Most concerning of all, the suicide rate for 12 to 14-year-olds has doubled since 2007. I think this means we have to ask the question, why? What happened between 2010 and 2015 that might have caused these trends? So one answer to what happened is that this happened. You might have your own memory, sometime around 2011 or 2012, of being in a public place, looking up and realizing that everybody else was looking at their phone. The percentage of Americans who owned a smartphone crossed 50% in 2012. By far, the largest change in teens' lives since 2010 has been that more of them got smartphones and they spent more time online and on social media. There's a photographer who takes pictures of people on the street who are looking at their phones. In short, they do not look happy. They do not look happy. Here's the good news. You don't have to give up your phone. Use your phone for all the great things that it can do for an hour or two a day, and then go and live your life. Go for a run or a swim. Watch a sunset. Get some sleep. Go see a friend, not on Snapchat, but in person. Watch the expression on your friend's face.
The underlying thing of what's happening is we do believe that technology can solve all problems. But the way it will do that is we will merge with the technology. The technology is going to embed itself inside us. And that's called the concept of singularity. So to solve all these problems, this addiction, this love affair, this distraction, where we're kind of like diving in, like Lawnmower Man, the movie, diving into this online world, this social world, this technology world, this addiction, the final output will be humans and machines become one. And for many people, that's terrifying, completely terrifying. But it's going to happen anyway, because that's the nature of emergence. Things come up on you that you're not expecting. The thing I would say to people is to spend time getting off technology, have breaks from technology. Do something called earthing. Take your shoes and socks off for 10 minutes a day and walk around outside on the ground. Reconnect your battery to the earth. Make sure you get off this distraction, addiction, love affair with tech, because you're going to put more time into Twitter, more into Facebook, more into this blog, more into that tweet, more into this, more into that, and then more into Google Plus, and then more into that, more into your apps, more into, and you're just going to eventually, if you see families now sitting around at home watching the telly's on, and everyone's got a laptop or an iPad or a mobile device in their hand. So they're watching telly and they're doing this. So the technology is creeping inside the humans. And eventually we'll say, oh, screw that. I'll just have it embedded. I'll have it in my spinal cord. I'll have one here in my neocortex. I'll have one here so I can just log on whenever I walk into a building. That new world of singularity is creeping up on us. And of course, it's like alcohol. It creeps up on you and you get addicted to it. It takes a number of years. It can take 5 or 10 years. That's what technology is doing. Technology is the new alcohol. So beware.
Ray Kurzweil is here. He has been called the rightful heir to Thomas Edison. His new book is entitled The Singularity is Near, When Humans Transcend Biology.
I read your book, some of the most frightening and yet hopeful stuff I've ever read.
Ray Kurzweil is a pioneer in the field of artificial intelligence.
He's an award-winning scientist and engineer, a millionaire several times over because of his invention.
He's the holder of 24 patents.
Ray Kurzweil
was chief inventor of the flatbed scanner.
A reading machine for the blind, Kurzweil keyboard synthesizer.
This guy is freaky. Bill Gates has called him the best in the world at predicting the future.
When Ray Kurzweil makes a prediction, lots of folks listen.
He predicted the collapse of the Soviet Union, described the rise of the internet, and foretold the year a computer would beat a chess champion.
According to Ray, you're going to have relationships with machines.
Computers will have consciousness in just 25 years.
Kurzweil sees a day when microscopic computers will make all kinds of learning as easy as downloading.
You're saying millions of tiny computers floating around in my head?
Fundamentally, you're talking about tampering with humankind.
Inventor Ray Kurzweil thinks that one day humans may be able to live forever.
We come back to this book. The singularity is near. What does singularity mean?
When you say the singularity is coming, what does that mean exactly?
And that's what you mean by the term singularity?
What is singularity?
Singularity is a future period in which technological change will be so rapid and its impact so profound that every aspect of human life will be irreversibly transformed.
there won't be a clear distinction between humans and machines.
Our computers are not going to be these rectangular devices we put in our pocket. They're going to be inside our bodies and brains, and we're going to be a hybrid of biological and non-biological intelligence. If you go back 500 years, not much happened in a century. Now a lot happens in 6 months. Technology feeds on itself and it gets faster and faster. In about 40 years, the pace of change is going to be so astonishingly quick that you won't be able to follow it unless you enhance your own intelligence by merging with the intelligent technology we're creating. So that's such a profound transformation that we've borrowed this metaphor from physics and call that a singularity.